Live on Instagram. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the very first Wilderness Fitness podcast, live here on Facebook and Instagram. I hope you guys all had a great start to your week, and we're going to dive right into it. So tonight I want to talk to you about breathing. I want to talk to you about the diaphragm. We're going to go over the function and location of the diaphragm and the accessory muscles for breathing. We're going to clinically talk about what the diaphragm can do for your pain. We're going to talk about performance enhancement. We're going to talk about field performance for the diaphragm, and then a couple ways that you can practice working on engaging your diaphragm. So first things first, let's talk the diaphragm, the location and the function. So the diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle that's at the base of your rib cage. Its role in breathing is the main muscle for breathing. So when you inhale, your diaphragm should contract. It should expand the ribs from the bottom up, and the accessory muscles up in your chest and up in your neck should be secondary to the diaphragm functioning and expanding the ribs and contracting the ribs. So let's dive into the clinical side of things. So clinically, as a PT, the breath's role in someone's pain experience can be pretty impactful. If I've got someone with neck pain, low back pain, after surgery, knee surgery, shoulder surgery, a lot of times I'm coaching them on exhaling as things get painful or as discomfort starts to set in. A lot of times when something hurts, we tend to hold our breath and guard, and with that can create a more dramatic pain experience. So when you're able to breathe in a position, you're able to breathe while your knee is bending after a knee replacement, that's going to help that pain experience. Research has shown that pain is an output from the brain, not an input to the brain, and that's a whole nother podcast topic. But helping someone reduce the muscular tension tends to help reduce that pain experience, and then tends to lead to the person being more comfortable in that position. Our brain can get stuck in a rut where it's associating movements or associating positions with a dangerous or a potentially hazardous stimulus. So sometimes it is reteaching the brain that this position, like bending your knee after knee replacement, or bending forward with someone with low back pain, or twisting your neck left or right after a neck injury, it's reteaching your brain that, hey, it is okay to get in that position. It is okay to move this way, and that breath control can really influence that. So performance-wise, our lungs have a certain capacity in which we can completely inhale and completely exhale. The role of the diaphragm is to really allow you to use as much of that inspiratory capacity as you possibly can. When you do that, you're going to enhance the amount of oxygen that you can load into your lungs, therefore the amount of oxygen that you can get on your red blood cells and then deliver to the working muscles. When you do that, you're going to definitely improve your cardiovascular performance, but also it can help improve your recovery and your rest between your traditional weightlifting sets or your HIIT sessions or your CrossFit sessions. So being able to, again, activate that diaphragm during your performance or during your workouts is going to be super important. And I'm not saying that you're not activating your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is definitely active while you're breathing, no matter if you're thinking about it or not. But being able to control where your breathing is coming from, whether you're more expanding at your chest or you're more moving your belly when you breathe, that's going to dictate how much of that diaphragm is active. So with the performance side of things, I want to go on a little side tangent too with talking about oxygen loading. When we get up to elevation, our lungs work on a pressure gradient. So when we get up to elevation, as you contract your diaphragm, your lungs are going to, or your ribs are going to expand. Therefore, your lungs, or the pressure within your chest cavity is going to drop. When that drops, air is going to flow into the chest cavity to help regulate that pressure gradient. And when that happens, the oxygen is going to load onto the red blood cells and get delivered to the working muscles. As you exhale, the diaphragm actually relaxes. It's more than likely, unless you're working really hard, it's more than likely a nice, easy exhale. So the diaphragm completely relaxes. It allows the ribs to contract or compress back down, decreasing the amount of space in your chest cavity, increasing the amount of pressure within the chest cavity. So that's how you exhale. Exhaling is generally a passive process. With the exception of working hard and with exercise, it becomes an active process. But with that, when you get on top of Mount Everest, or when you're at 10,000 feet, there is the same amount of oxygen at the top of Mount Everest compared to in New Orleans when you're down there for Mardi Gras. It is the same amount of oxygen. What changes is the partial pressure of oxygen. So when you get up in elevation, the pressure that is outside is less than what it is down in sea level, so that pressure gradient is different, so not as much air is going to rush into your lungs as it would if you were at sea level. So that's why it's more difficult to breathe up in elevation compared to sea level. It's not that the fact that there's less oxygen, it's just the pressure gradient is different, so your oxygen or the red blood cells are not loaded with as much oxygen as quickly. Let's go to the field performance. So I want to talk about the vagus nerve stimulation and then how that relates to elk calling and all that. When you inhale, you can really, if you can control your inhale and slow it down to have a 6-second inhale, you're going to stimulate the nerve, the vagus nerve. That nerve has a lot to do with your rest and digest response or your fight or flight response. When you inhale for 6 seconds, you're going to stimulate that rest and digest response. Therefore, that nerve is going to stimulate your heart to slow down its heart rate. So if you got a bull bugling at you, you got an animal coming in. If you're up in a tree stand whitetail hunting, you're going to more than likely, unless you can just completely put your emotions to the side, you're more than likely going to have a skyrocketed heart rate. So if you can inhale for 6 seconds, that can help control that heart rate. So that way, when that shot time comes, you can make that shot on that elk or on that whitetail walking in towards you. Same thing with elk bugling. You need to be able to inhale quite a bit of air in order to bugle. If you're not using your diaphragm to do that, you're only using the muscles up here in your chest, you're missing the boat on being able to completely fill your lungs up with oxygen and not being able to hit those high bugle tones. You're not going to be able to bugle as long. You're going to run out of air, especially if you're in elevation, you're coming from sea level, you're not used to everything. You're going to run out of air pretty quickly. Being able to, again, use your belly to breathe, expand your rib cage, and fill those lungs with as much oxygen as you can, that's going to be super important in being able to hit those high tones with your elk bugle. All right, so practice-wise, get on your back, bend your knees so your feet are flat on the floor or flat on whatever surface you're lying on. The way that I have folks practice this in the clinic before we really start exercising, before I really start doing some hands-on stuff, is one hand's on their chest, one hand's on their stomach. I tell them to breathe in and out. Notice what hand moves differently. If their belly hand is moving, but it's not as much as their chest, my cue is your belly hand should move twice as much as your chest hand. Sometimes we'll focus on that for 5 or 10 minutes, just getting the diaphragm to move or getting the diaphragm to activate and getting control of that diaphragm to activate with their breathing. If you're still having a hard time with that, then you can take a book, put one hand on your chest, and then take a heavy book and put that on your stomach. That feedback from the book, that heavy book, is going to give your muscles something to push against, and then you'll get that visual feedback of that book moving up and down as you breathe in and out. So that's another way that you can try getting that diaphragm to activate. If you've made it this far in the podcast, thank you. I want to go over a few house cleaning things here before I hop off. The monthly newsletter is heading out on the 15th of this month. It's going to start going out on the 15th of every month. It's a monthly newsletter. This month's topic is sleep, and next month's topic is going to be about running. I just finished up with a CEU course an 8-week CEU course on running and running analysis, so I'm excited to bring you guys some information on that. Spicy Saturday, so I'm looking at the workout right now, and it's got burpees in there, and I freaking hate burpees, so I'm not looking forward to that. But it's a 15-minute AMRAP, so as many rounds as possible in those 15 minutes. You've got, for the RX, you've got 8 push-ups with the dumbbells in your hands. You've got 8 burpee jump overs, so you'll do a burpee, jump over the dumbbells, do another burpee. You've got 8 of those, and then you've got 8 dumbbell squat cleans. For that, you're using a 50 and a 35, 50 for men, 35 for women. And then for the scaled movements, you're going to dial it back a little bit. You're going to do burpee step over, so you're still going to use the dumbbells. You're just going to keep them on the ground, and you're going to do a burpee, step over the dumbbell, do another burpee, step over the dumbbell. You're still doing 8 of those, and then you're going to go into a dumbbell front squat. Again, 8 of those. For the weight for that, it's 35 for men and 20 for women. With the Wilderness Fitness Program, the first cohort of the year is kicking off April 1st. I'm keeping 6 spots open for that. I've got 2 reserved already, so if you're looking to bump up your fitness game here for a big elk hunt or a big sheep hunt or a big mule deer hunt this fall, definitely want to get in on that before those spots fill up. And then I've got 1 spot left for one-on-one coaching. If you guys want more information on that, you guys can head to the website, check out the services tab, and then if you're interested further, you can apply for coaching. Then we'll get on a phone call and talk about how we can help you out. And then I'm super excited about Sunday. I've got the Spike Camp membership launching. I'm just finishing up recording the exercise demonstration videos. I'm super stoked to get that finally launched and out to you guys. So keep your eye open on that for the launch time on Sunday. Anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic Friday night. Get outside, get some movement in, and enjoy this fabulous March weather that we're having that is unseasonably warm. Take care.